89.1 FM Rich Radio Hashtag Surmount Kalangitan Ka-Heaven.
Hello to all senior high school learners of Kalangitan High School. Mabuhay at mapagpalang araw po sa ating lahat. I'm your Sir Mel Santos and welcome to another home study session in 21st century literature from the Philippines and the world. So we are now on the fourth of the 7-part series of virtual learning for our topic, 21st century literary traditions and forms from different cultures. This episode will be about the developments of Indian literature in relation to culture. Now have your paper and pen handy for note-taking along with your self-learning module as we are about to engage in another literary adventure. So set your mind and heart, have yourselves feeling at ease and focus to get the most out of learning from today's topic. So again, let's refresh our minds of the learning goals for the entire 7-part series of this virtual learning. Identify the 21st century literary traditions and forms of different cultures, notably Indian literature on this episode. Distinguish the differences of the 21st century literary traditions and forms of different cultures from their established or classical literary conventions, and appreciate the 21st century literary developments of different cultures. So mga ka-heaven, let's get started to roll. The first characteristic we would notice about the classics of Indian literature is that it is based on piety, which is a deeply religious spirit. Other common classic themes in Indian literatures are mostly about human values, obedience to the above, bravery in war, love, and reincarnation. Much of ancient Indian literature was originally written in Sanskrit, the Indic language of Hinduism, and the Vedas, which is the religion's sacred text. Literature in Indian context since time immemorial would never have been possible without the profound impression of religious and spiritual aspect through Hinduism. With that said, let's talk about a bit of what Hinduism is. Hinduism is the world's oldest religion, according to many scholars, with roots and customs dating back more than 4,000 years. Today, with about 900 million followers, Hinduism is the third largest religion behind Christianity and Islam. Roughly 95% of the world's Hindus live in India. Hinduism embraces many religious ideas. For this reason, it's sometimes referred to as a way of life or a family of religions, as opposed to a single, organized religion. Most forms of Hinduism are henotheistic, which means they worship a single deity known as Brahman, but still recognize other gods and goddesses. Followers believe there are multiple paths to reaching their god. Hindus believe in the doctrine of samsara, the continuous cycle of life, death, and reincarnation. Reincarnation is when the soul, which is seen as eternal and part of a spiritual realm, returns to the physical realm in a new body. And just like most of us, Hindus believe in karma, the universal law of cause and effect. One of the key thoughts of Hinduism is Atman, or the belief in soul. This philosophy holds that living creatures have a soul and they're all part of the Supreme Soul. The goal is to achieve moksha, or salvation, which ends the cycle of rebirths to become part of the Absolute Soul. One fundamental principle of the religion is the idea that people's actions and thoughts directly determine their current life and future lives. Hindus strive to achieve dharma, which is a code of living that emphasizes good conduct and morality. Hindus revere all living creatures and consider the cow a sacred animal. Food is an important part of life for Hindus. Most don't eat beef or pork, and many are vegetarians. The family is important in Indian literature and drama. Both the Mahabharata and Ramayana, the two most famous works of Indian literature and theater, are family epics featuring cousins, uncles, and aunts struggling and killing each other over land and dharma and then mourning inconsolably. Indian literature was rooted from Rig Veda and Upanishads. Rig Veda is a collection of written hymns in praise of gods. The hymns are strong, energetic, religious expressions comparable to the Old Testament Psalms. Upanishads consists of a group of sketches, illustrations, explanation, and critical comments on the religious thoughts suggested by the poetic hymns of Rig Veda. Alright, let's take a look at some famous early Indian literary figures. Kalidasa had been known in Indian literature as the greatest writer of plays. He is the author of Shakuntala. Shakuntala is a story of a king who goes hunting in the woods and meets a beautiful maiden named Shakuntala with whom he fell in love. Another well-known writer in Indian literature is Rabindranath Tagore, who was acclaimed as a great Indian poet and dramatist. He was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913 and was knighted by the British government in 1915. R.K. Narayan had also been a known figure of Indian literature. He was compared to William Faulkner for his simple and unpretentious English writing style. He is one of the most widely read Indian novelists. His stories were grounded in a compassionate humanism and celebrated the humor and energy of ordinary life. At the turn of the 21st century, liberalism and humanism have become the common themes in Indian literature. So briefly, let's unlock the meaning of these ideologies. Liberalism, a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. In other words, liberalism is the willingness to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, or you have the openness to new ideas. Meanwhile, humanism is an outlook or system of thought attaching prime importance to human rather than divine or supernatural matters. Humanist beliefs stress the potential value and goodness of human beings, emphasize common human needs, and seek solely rational ways of solving human problems. The predominance of these themes in the 21st century Indian literature was brought about by the pervading desire of the people for social change, particularly which relates to anti-colonial struggles and capitalist exploitation, which is mostly a concern of the middle-class Indian citizen. These themes of liberalism and humanism in their literary works has been mostly expressed through the literary genre known as realism, or social realism to be specific. Thus, the emergence of realist novels at the turn of the 21st century in Indian literature. So as what we have discussed on the first part of this study session series, literary realism was at its peak during the contemporary period of literature, which was during the late half of the 1940s, or particularly the end of the World War II. So apparently, literary realism is not new in the 21st century. Again, literary realism is a literary movement that represents reality by portraying ordinary, everyday experiences as they are in real life. It depicts familiar people, places, and stories, primarily about the middle and lower classes of society. I believe realism reminds you of the novels Narcopolis by G. Thayil, who is the Indian novelist you have come across in our previous lesson, right? His novel Narcopolis is a classic example of the 21st century realism in Indian literature. Again, this novel is about an Indian city that has undergone a drastic change for 3 decades. The author does not present an innocent and aesthetic or filtered picture of the city. Rather, he explored the ugly reality of the drug culture and the day-to-day social transaction of the underworld. This realism feels of this novel was even reinforced by the Yale's narration, which includes the use of many graphic scenes and strong language. Alright, that ends the fourth of the seven-part series of virtual learning on 21st century literary traditions and forms from different cultures. See you on the next episode, and bye for now mga ka-heaven!
89.1 FM Rich Radio Hashtag Surmount Kalamitan Ka-Heaven